All right, guys. Well, welcome to this week's video. Same clothes, same spot, same glass of tea. We're introing now the Fender and door application. So enjoy. All right, day two. Today we're going to get the fender straightened out and the door straightened out and get those guys mounted back on the FJ. So I think the fender's pretty easy. The door, I don't quite know what we're looking at here on this front edge. It looks like the pinch, the fold over part has been pulled or something. You can see here where it looks like this should be over here. This should be over here maybe. I don't know. I can see obviously that needs to be, and you can see this line, kind of some evidence where this basically is out too far, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of hard to discern. That could just be seam sealer edge as well, but because the door don't look like it's out very far. But anyway, we're going to beat and bang on it if nothing else. Try to get the door. We're going to get that saw at least just roughed in. You know, what we can get with a hammer and dolly. And then when we actually come back to paint this thing in the future, we'll worry about really getting it smoothed in. So right now we're just trying to get it beat out. We've got a little dent right here where this is pushed in. So we're going to pull that back out. The hood, the cowl has kind of some, where it looks like the hood maybe folded back at some point. The other side looks about the same. You can see here, folded in. And then this side of the hood is kind of wavy. So we'll straighten that out. I don't have a puller, the deal that we weld the little dudes on and you hammer it up. But I've got a redneck ingenuity thing that works, maybe not as well, but it works. It gets the job done. I don't know if we'll fool with all that in this video. That may be for later. So for right now, I'm going to get kind of my stuff set up here to get ready to get these two straightened out so we can get them put back on. I need you to help me set this door up on these saws. Back into it. I'm going to fold in here. I cannot find. Gotta get this right here folded in, and then it's almost like the skin needs to all go that way. How do you do that? How do you bend? It's like, watch this. If I get in there, you see the cracks in the metal here. But it's like I was doing in this right here was moving in and out. Just the front half. So that's why this is all pulled out. So I guess this is bent in. So we got to get it bent back out. And that's probably why the door was too far forward. Because the mounts were all shoved backwards. Watch the whole inside of the door thing. I don't know if that's even picking up on camera. You can see the whole thing moving. So when it was hanging on the truck, this is just going in. That's why this door outside here was coming forward. So we got to get that pulled back out. So that's what's going on. Okay. Bend back up. All right, so what I've done is, I'm just trying here. I welded a screw there. I got a couple more spots cleaned off that I'm gonna weld to. And my plan is, it seems like it's gonna work, I can then just hook my hammer here and start pulling that out. But I see I'm hitting here and a few other places, but that will allow me to be able to pull and kind of watch what I'm doing. And so we're going to fold this up a little bit more to where that inner door can go under that skin. Okay, we are making progress. You can see all of this is a lot closer than it was before. All this up here, you see our crack is lining up where the seam sealer was. This is all probably within a 1/16 or so. Down here, you can see that's touching right where the seam sealer was. All this looks good, and I got this pulled out. You can see the little crack there is about all that's our difference. So I think that's okay. The big problem now is this crack that was in the door from all of this being folded in, and the metal's kind of rusty. I cleaned it up, but it's pretty thin right here. So I think we're gonna have to cut this out and weld in a new piece there. That's gonna be fun because as you can see, that's a tight spot to fit. So I'm gonna try to get that done. Maybe try to pull this a little bit more. And
didn't mean to lurk.
And get this thing mounted back up. I think it'll be a lot better. Okay, we're done with the front for now. Now back here in the back, you can see this is broke loose, and it's got a big kink right here. So we're gonna fool with that and see, kind of get this beat back straight, get this back to touching this, and get it re-welded. You know, I fooled a bunch of old cars, and you always come across stuff like this and stuff like that where previous repairs were attempted, I guess. And I always wonder what happened. Like, what's the story here? How did this, because this is, I mean, we understand the door folded backwards, but that's a pretty hard blow to break the front loose. And I don't know if this had anything to do with that, but I don't know. You just see all this stuff, and you know people get out there in a hurry and try to fix it, and years later, somebody like me comes along and tries to figure out what the heck's going on. Let me just say that if we were doing a restoration, we probably would either try to find a new door, or I'd be spending a lot more time on this thing. But for what Eric's going to be using it for, as we said, we want it to look good. We're shooting more for it being solid and just, you know, back together than we are things just being absolutely beautiful and perfect and stuff like that. Doesn't mean that we're just hacking at it or nothing like that. But with as much damage as was on that front lip, I had the same issue with my Super Bee, where I spent man, days and days trying to rebuild one of my doors on the Super B that was just so rusted across the bottom, and got it done. That's the door over there behind the scooter. Back over there, y'all know y'all probably can't see it, but anyway, we went to the Mopar Nationals in Ohio. I was walking through the swap meet. Guy had a door in great shape, and I just was like, you know what? I was never satisfied, because once them skins and that inner door, once that stuff gets stretched and out of whack and stuff like that, man, it just, I don't know. It's hard to get them back and feel confident about them. This is not as bad as that door was, but even with this, I don't know. It's just easier if you can just find a door. But I tell you what, I have been surprised since we've been doing this, the lack of aftermarket body stuff for this. It's kind of shocking. I would have figured there'd been a lot more aftermarket support for these things, but there's not. So I don't know what's up with that, but we're going to dolly on this front of the door, kind of get it a little bit more in shape on the outside now that we are structurally sound again. All right, so the door is mildly adjusted. The gap in the back is still pretty big. It's not quite as even as I would like it to be. This top was majorly tweaked, like this. So I got it just by hand, just tweaking on it, pulling on it. The door's opening and closing a lot better. Just kind of some tips if you're ever aligning doors, fenders. You always start with your welded panels. So like that quarter panel's not going anywhere. So you don't start at the front and go back. You start back there, line this door up. Once this door's lined up to that quarter panel, you line this door to that door, and then you'll line the fender to that door. So right now it's looking like, I don't know what this door needs to do. I know all of that being bent on the inside is all playing a major factor on this. It's opening and closing good, but that door gap does not look good at all. The gap back there, though, looks fine, so I'm not even going to touch that back door. Something to do up here. I don't know if I need to get some shims and help that door kind of go backwards a little bit more, because when I pulled that out, I didn't quite get it out far. I mean, it was still like a 1/16 maybe, and so I may just have to go get some shims, put down the bolts equally to just help push the door back a little bit more. But that's another day. What I'm going to do right now is we're going to get this dollied back out flat, which is not a problem. And then you can see we got a pretty nice little dent there that I'm going to just try to knock out. So this ought to be pretty quick, and then I'm going to throw the fender up here and just see how the fender looks like. I know what the door gap back there looks like, but I'm going to hang the fender up there, and so I'm obviously predicting this gap is going to be really, really tight. But let's get this dollied out and see. Well, that actually doesn't look as bad as I thought it was going to look. It's not bolted or anything, but I got some more beating and banging to do up here on this front dent, but I got it out at least. But I was just kind of curious. That don't look too bad. The fender's sticking out right now, so it kind of needs to go in at the bottom and stuff, but better than it was before, that's for sure. Kind of got the same situation that we had on the door. When all this is pulled, there's an inner structure here and it just rips them apart. So it loses its integrity, it stretches it. We're moving in the right direction. It definitely looks better than it did, which that's also not saying much. Down here looks okay. All right, well guys, just to show you this damage. I wasn't paying attention before. See how bowed this piece is? This is actually supposed to be this lip here. It's supposed to be under this lip here. All the way down to offer support to this. That's the same thing that happened to the door. It's like it just pulled every bit of the structure pieces apart. So now I gotta get this under there to strengthen this back up. So I'm tired. This has turned into the doors and fenders. I thought I'd just run out here today, slap it all together. All right, guys, well, this is what we kind of end up with. I got the fender, the structure bent back, and just kind of went through and welded it in a few spots just to strengthen it back up. Not bad for just a rough end. This gap back here still looks kind of big. I don't really know what's going on back here, but the door opens and closes super easy. It doesn't hit the fender anymore. It doesn't flop all around like it did before, so I'd definitely say we're moving in the right direction. We're not finished, and it may just sit like this until we're actually ready to get serious about paint, and then at that time we'll really look at getting this stuff just perfect. Because I don't know what Eric's gonna want to do. We may get all this stuff fixed up, and he may just want to throw the lift on it, wheels and tires, and just wheel it for a little bit. I don't know what he's gonna want to do, but nonetheless, this gap looks really good. I'm real pumped about that. It sets fairly even up and down. Obviously, when it comes time for paint, we'll do a little more dolly work, and then probably have to slick it up with a little bit of filler, obviously. This door gap back here looks nice. It all sets flush, with the exception of the top, which there's a dent there, and the bottom, because there's a dent in the door still there too. So that kind of crinks them in. But other than that, man, it's not finished, but it's miles better from where it was. So I think we're gonna call it right there for the time being, so we can just keep moving forward. Next up, we're gonna put it on the lift. First of all, we're gonna take it outside and clean the bottom of it, because it is just, you can see the floor just from hammering. It's just constantly dumping red clay. So we're gonna bag it out and try to get under there and clean underneath the bottom of it. Then put it on the lift, finish the quarter panels. So I guess that'll be next. And then once all of that is done, we may come back, because we still got to do some body work up here in the front, and we may kind of obviously do a little bit more here. But for the time being, I think we're solid. It's sealed back up. The door's open and closed. Nobody's hitting anything right now. So I think we'll call it good right there. So, guys, I'm tired. We're going to call it a week. I don't know what we'll be doing next week. So, anyway, other than that, we will see you guys next week, Lord willing. Until then, man, appreciate you watching. We'll see you then. Good night.
I know you ain't worried about the video, but
Yes, Andrew, the oven is on. Fixing me about the oven.